My name's Dave Dubeau, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. If you've been around real estate for a while, chances are you've seen vacant land, you've seen vacant properties, and you thought there's got to be a way to make a buck with this. Well, today my special guest is Larry Jarnigo, and he is zooming in from Nashville, Tennessee, and he does exactly that. He turns vacant land into cash. He flips dirt. So Larry, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Yeah, Dave, appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to talking shop a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. So Larry, for folks who are not familiar with land investing, maybe just give us, the grade 6 level version explanation of how it all works.
Yeah, I mean, I guess really we're just a marketing machine, kind of like a household wholesaling company. We're sending out thousands of letters a week, texting, cold calling, doing all the things. We're getting a property under contract. There's a lot of different ways people might wholesale it. I generally buy the properties outright, and then, sell it on the internet, basically.
Okay. So maybe if you don't mind sharing, walk us A to Z through a recent deal that you've done, how you found it, what the motivation was behind the sellers, what you bought it for, what you did with it, if anything, how long you held on to it, what you sold it for. Can you kind of walk us through a deal like that?
Sure. I'd say the majority of the properties that we buy, we do about 25, 30 deals a year.
Some of them months, give or take.
Yeah. Some of them we, do minor development, subdivide it, get soil sites for septic, that kind of stuff to force appreciation. But generally, we're probably just going to buy a property for less than it's worth. A lot of these folks that we're buying from, they can't go on Zillow and just get the Zillow house price. They don't generally live near it. They might live out of state. They might have inherited and just been around for a while, and they don't really know the value of it. So trying to buy around 50 cents on the dollar. And a lot of the times I'll use a local realtor to list the property for me if there's enough meat on the bones. Once I buy it. So yeah, get it under contract, do some due diligence, try to get a realtor on the front end to evaluate it. And then as soon as I close, the next day we have it up listed, great drone pictures and images, and get it sold.
Okay. So what would be an example of a deal that you've done recently that kind of fits that parameters? Where was it? How much did you pay for it? How long did it take to get it sold? What was your profit? Just to give people an idea of what the money looks like.
Sure. Yeah, I had one in Jackson County, Alabama. It's just, basically you're driving down a rural road and you see trees on the side of the road. That's the kind of property.
That's the property. Yeah.
That's kind of the property that we're generally buying. So you just have these rural buyers out there that are always looking for this kind of stuff. They understand, they can have a little vision for it that, might need some clearing and some work done. So we bought this one for $33,000 and ended up selling it for $52,000 in about 2 months.
Okay.
So the bites, the name of the game a lot of the times is just to turn them over as fast as you can. You get a decent offer, you take it, you go on to the next one.
Right. So you're buying low and you're leaving a little bit of skin on the bone there for the next person. You're not trying to wring every last dime out of the property. Okay, cool. What was the motivation of the seller in that case? Do you remember?
Yeah, he had inherited the property. He didn't live in the area, same kind of story we get a lot of the time. Didn't really understand the value of it. Was never going to move back to Jackson County, Alabama. So I think he was up in Virginia. And so, I review basically some of the comps. Obviously, I'm looking at some of the lower comparables, telling him all the things that's going to need to get done to, if you wanted to get a higher price per acre. And, just offering him the quick solution. Hey, I'm going to send you a 1-page agreement. I'm going to send it to an attorney. We're going to close in 30 days. You're going to get cash from the attorney, bank wire transfer, cashier's check. and you can wipe your hands of this.
Nice, simple, easy, get out of jail free card for that guy.
Exactly.
Oh, all right. So this, I'm just putting myself in the place of a viewer or a listener going, hey, that sounds pretty good. 33 in, 2 months later, whatever, 52 out, making 20 grand, give or take, on a pretty low investment, sending out a few letters. I know for a fact there's a hell of a lot that goes into this machine to generate the number of leads that you need to do, 25, 30 deals to about 2 deals a month. So Larry, just maybe walk people through the reality of what it takes to generate those leads and to do those deals. And, maybe give us a snapshot of what your marketing machine looks like.
Yeah, it's a great question. When it comes to land, generally the people aren't in a big pain position. They don't have, grandma didn't die and there's people, loitering in the house. There's none of that. They pay taxes on it. That's like $50 a year or something.
So yeah, this example like you gave us, right? It wasn't a bleeding neck pain anyone had at all. It was just
there's no pain. They always say, well, maybe it'll, increase in value and I'll give it to my kids. So, it's trying to uncover some kind of reason why to get them to do this now. And so it takes so much marketing because, people are offering more price per acre. There's wholesalers that'll offer 90 cents on the dollar because they're going to try to double close the property. So you got a property worth 100, they're offering 90 because they're not going to buy it. They're going to get it under contract and try and get, $5 grand out of it or something like that.
Right.
So you're having to fight with that. And just the general, not much motivation. So 3,000 letters a week. I do range offers. I used to do blind offers when I first started, which is just a number, 30, 40 cents on the dollar, something like that. But you're just losing your shot at some of the bigger, nicer properties. Mm-hmm. So I've just increased the range a bit, just so, hopefully someone will call me with a little bit better property. We're also cold calling these lists. I mean, we'll pull data for an entire state, 3 to 125 acres. We want to be able to evaluate anything that comes in, whether that's for development. I have a property that's tied up with a townhome builder that came from cold calling. And, we're looking at properties ideally that we can subdivide. I have a property in East Tennessee that was just 6 acres. And, the guy owns a bunch of really expensive properties there and he wanted 250. Well, he didn't know I could chop that up into 1 and 2 acre properties. So that one's looking really good. We sold the first 2 acre property for 250. So nice. Almost all of our money out on that very first sale. So you just, the beauty of it is you never really know what's going to come in. But it's all about where's the next deal? When's the next deal coming? And that this isn't really a business that you're going to get cash flow. So it's all about where's that next deal coming.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. So 3,000 letters a week. That is significant. So, you're looking at least 12 to 15,000 pieces of mail going out every single month. I'm always fascinated with marketing, Larry. So, do you typically mail the same owner several times over a period of time, or is it one and done? How does that kind of look?
Yeah, I used to just do maybe once a year, but now the softwares have gotten more sophisticated where you can take out, say, percentage of wetlands. You're not going to want one that's half wetlands, right? You don't want one that's only got 25 feet of road frontage. You don't want something that's super steep. So you can't get as big of a list that you used to, but now it's kind of like if they do call, you're probably going to want it. So now, yeah, we're hitting these people two times a year, at least with the mail. And then we're calling those lists. I used to text, but just not a big fan of that marketing channel. So yeah, we're hitting these people fairly often, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So are you kind of pulling one big list every few months and going after it? Or is it like an annual thing where you come up with a big list and plan out your marketing for the year? What does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I think I pull, say, 15 counties in a state that I like, and then we will mail them, and we'll take out ones that we've talked to, and then we'll send it to a cold caller, and then we'll take out more people that we talk to that aren't going to work out, and then we'll remail them again.
Okay. Yeah. So your cold caller, that sounds like a hellish job. You got somebody from the States or somebody from the overseas doing that for you?
She's actually from the States. She does a great job. She is in Italy. So she lives in Italy and she works kind of in the evening there calling here in the States. But my primary market is the Southeast, and I don't think, someone with an accent or something like that is going to get me very far. I had another cold calling company that I had before I found this girl, and it's definitely been better getting, someone American to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Quality over quantity sometimes makes a big difference. Now, you mentioned you're no longer a big fan of the whole text message marketing. What happened that soured you on that whole idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of work, a lot of tire kicking, a lot of, and I had someone overseas, and that person was very task oriented and thought, well, my job is to send 1,000 messages a day. And I'm like, I don't care if you send 5, we're trying to get contracts here. Yeah. So it was just not a good match. Not just a bit too much busy work with not really identifying motivation on the front end very well from that person.
Fair enough. Now, your cold caller, how many calls on average is she making a day or a week?
I have to look. She works about 20 hours a week, so nothing crazy. I get all that data, but I don't keep it at the forefront of my mind. Yeah. I just know that, it's been profitable and we keep it up, but it's, the letters are still better because someone's actually having to pick it up, look at the number, and actually take action. So cold calling is still like texting where, someone says, I want, $600,000 for the property. Well, we still have to look it up because that might be reasonable. If it has development potential, great. And, you look it up and it turns out to be 5 acres in the middle of nowhere and it's got wetlands and it's a cliff. It's like, total waste of time. So I do have an assistant, Brittany, that helps me with a lot of the different tasks. I mean, we do sell some of the properties on our own. We use Facebook Marketplace. We buy the properties and list on like a brokerless MLS. If it's a property that doesn't have a ton of value, like the one in my example, the 52,000, it's kind of hard to get a realtor to really do much on that, right? They're not going to make much. So we will sell those on our own. Brittany helps with that. And she also helps with the leads when they come in. She'll map them. She'll evaluate what the offer is going to be and make those offers a lot of the times as well.
Oh, that's great. So what's your primary day-to-day? What are you focusing on most these days, Larry?
Probably things I shouldn't be. A lot of wrangling with title companies, getting, things closed, working with my realtors on offers, working on data, getting the next marketing pieces out there, changing some things around of properties that we're trying to sell, maybe changing some images, maybe ordering new drone pictures or something to just change it up. So yeah, I'd say, focusing on outgoing marketing, I'd say mainly.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So Larry, how long have you been doing the business for? Sounds like you're pretty established.
Yeah, I started this in 2021. I was in medical device sales for 15 years. working in the operating room and leaving the house at 6:30, not knowing when I'd ever be done for the day, and just was listening to all these different podcasts, came across land investing and realizing I could work from home. I used to go to some of these properties if they were in Tennessee, but I don't go to them anymore. I send a photographer out to make sure there's nothing crazy going on and pretty much shut it down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the nice thing about land is nothing's super urgent, right? Someone's been sitting on it or someone's interested, like they don't need to be called back right away. So, it's obviously it's stressful to wonder where your next deal's coming from, but, it has a lot of advantages.
Most definitely. So, Larry, what you kind of touched on it, but what do you love the most about the land business, and what's not your favorite part about it?
Yeah, I guess not favorite is I don't love data, and I have to deal with data all the time now. I feel like I could mess up an Excel spreadsheet like nobody's business. So I think I've had some failed mailers because of that. So I don't love that. All the tech, there's a lot of it in this. That's probably not my favorite part. But I really love evaluating properties still. Anything that comes in, wondering what's the highest best use. Can we divide it? Is there development potential here? Just always, looking for highest best use and looking at stuff to be excited about.
Very cool. Now, we were talking a little bit off camera that one of the ways that you find deals sometimes is if, another real estate investor who's in a different niche comes across a vacant piece of property that you're not quite sure what to do with. Sometimes you partner with those kind of folks and make it work. So tell me a little bit about that, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, if there's house wholesalers that get land, a lot of the times they're just throwing it away. I don't, not sure what to do with this or necessarily how to evaluate it. And, I'm always happy to network with folks and look at deals at potential JV, bring me in and pretty much take your hands off the wheel and get paid when we sell the thing. So always looking for those kind of partnerships.
Awesome, Larry. If people want to connect with you and find out more, where should they go?
Yeah, you can just find me, Larry Jarnigo. I think LinkedIn's a great place to reach out to me.
Awesome. Larry, this has been really good. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Dave.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.